I'm Ethan, 33, and I've always been the dependable one in my family. The person who steps up, fixes problems, and keeps things running smoothly when life gets messy. As a kid, I didn't mind the role much. My father was stern, not overly affectionate, but he preached about responsibility and loyalty as the ultimate expressions of care. So I embraced it. Right after college, I landed a steady job, stayed out of trouble, and when my parents hit a financial snag about 6 years back, I didn't hesitate to help. I cleared some debts, covered utility bills, and eventually took on their mortgage when Dad's health forced him into early retirement. He never expressed gratitude. Not once, but I didn't expect it. I wasn't helping for recognition. I did it because I believe that's what family does. You support each other. You show up. I didn't notice the shift at first. Initially, my contributions were appreciated, or at least acknowledged, but over time, they became expected, then demanded. The tone changed. If I was late with a payment, Mom would text, "The bank's on us again. You didn't send it." Not a request, not a discussion, just, "You didn't send it." Like I'd failed some unspoken contract I never signed. Meanwhile, my younger brother, Liam, 4 years my junior and still drifting through life with a "he's finding himself" excuse, lived in their basement rent-free, working maybe a few hours a week at a local diner. When I once asked if he planned to get a full-time job or move out, Mom laughed it off, saying, "Not everyone's as driven by money as you, Ethan." That comment cut deeper than I'd like to admit. Still, I let it go. Holidays rolled around, and every year I'd cover the costs. Decorations, catered meals, drinks, even gifts for the extended family. I'd arrive, get a half-hearted nod from Dad, maybe a scarf from Mom, and watch Liam soak up the praise for showing up with a cheap bottle of wine and a story about how he nearly landed a gig as an extra in a movie. It was draining, but I told myself it was temporary. I told myself they were under pressure. I told myself things would even out eventually. Then came last December. A week before Christmas, I texted Mom to ask when the holiday gathering would start. No reply, which wasn't unusual. She's more of a social media commenter than a texter. So I messaged Dad, a simple text. "Hey, what time should I be there for Christmas?" 2 hours later, his response came. "Don't bother coming to the holiday party. It's for real family." That was it. No greeting, no smiley face, not even a period. I read it twice, thinking I'd misread it. Maybe it was a prank? Maybe he sent it to the wrong person? But no, it was my number, my name, my rejection. I sat with it for a moment, then typed one word: noted. I didn't argue. I didn't demand answers or send an emotional outburst. I just leaned back in my chair, letting the quiet settle around me. I stared at that message until my screen dimmed. Then I got up, grabbed a glass of water from the kitchen, and started thinking. Being the dependable one means you know how everything works. You know the payment schedules, the account details, the passwords. You know how delicate the balance is, how much depends on your unseen effort. After 6 years of being their silent support, that text made it clear. I didn't owe them anything anymore, so I waited. I didn't make a scene or confront them. I just stopped. Quietly. No more automatic mortgage payments, no calendar alerts, no, "Hey, send it over" texts. I let the due date pass like a fleeting thought. Then I turned off my phone and spent Christmas alone, with a streaming movie and takeout from the Chinese place nearby. It was calm, almost serene. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I needed someone else's approval to exist. 2 days after Christmas, my phone buzzed relentlessly on the counter. I didn't check it immediately. I didn't want to. But when the notification stopped, I looked. 67 missed calls, mostly from Mom, a few from Dad, one from an unknown number. A voicemail waited. I played it. It was Dad, his tone sharp and tense. "Ethan, something's wrong with the bank. They say the mortgage wasn't paid, and they're starting foreclosure. Fix this, call me." I didn't. Instead, I opened my banking app, confirmed the payments were still on hold, and leaned back again. That same quiet returned. This time, it wasn't empty. It was empowering. I wasn't trying to hurt them, not exactly, but for the first time, they were feeling what life was like without me holding everything together, and they didn't like it. That was just the start. The next morning, I woke to 3 voicemails and a flood of texts, some furious, some frantic, a few leaning into guilt. My favorite was from Liam. "Man, what's going on? The bank showed up at the house. Dad's losing it. Fix this. You're being a jerk. A jerk." I lingered on that word, letting it sink in. It was almost laughable how quickly they rewrote the story, erasing years of my support the moment I stopped being useful. No one asked if I was okay. No one wondered why I hadn't paid. To them, I wasn't a son or a brother. I was a utility. a walking bank account with a handshake. That evening, Mom texted again, softer this time, careful. "We didn't mean it, your family, obviously. Just a mix-up." I didn't respond. Another message came later. "Can we talk?" "This isn't you." No, it wasn't. But I was starting to like this new me. By week's end, they'd sent a dozen more messages, calls at all hours, even an email from Dad, short but different. "I know you're upset. Let's meet and work this out. You've made your statement." There it was, the shift, the closest he'd ever come to admitting fault without saying it. 6 months earlier, I might have caved, brushed it off as a misunderstanding, and jumped back into my role. But not this time. This time, I felt clear. That night, I made a choice, not out of anger, but for my own survival. I pulled out the folder where I kept all the paperwork, the initial agreement from when I started covering the mortgage, back when it was supposed to be short-term. The bank emails, the payment records, and crucially, the exit clause I'd added after 3 years when I realized this wasn't temporary. I'd always been careful. If you're the dependable one in a chaotic family, you learn to document everything. The clause was clear. I could end the arrangement with written notice, no further obligations. Signed, dated, notarized, bulletproof. So I wrote a letter. Concise, professional, polite. "As of today, I am terminating my financial support for the mortgage at address. Per our agreement, I have no further responsibilities. Please contact your bank to discuss options." I sent it certified mail, copied my attorney, and blocked their numbers. Not out of spite, but because every time their names appeared on my screen, the stress crashed over me. Tight chest, racing pulse, that familiar knot in my gut. I've been teetering on burnout for years, and I was done. That weekend, I drove. No destination in mind, just got in the car and left the city behind. I ended up in a small coastal town 2 hours away, booked a room at a quaint inn, walked the shore at dusk, slept for 12 hours straight. No buzzing phone, no urgent messages, no weight on my shoulders. The next morning, I sat at a cafe by the sea and opened my laptop. A few work emails, nothing pressing, but one stood out. A notice from the county records office. A default had been filed on the house. I sipped my coffee, read it twice, then closed the tab, letting the sunlight warm my face. The world didn't collapse. I didn't crumble with guilt. I didn't feel like a failure. I felt liberated. Back home, things were falling apart. I didn't need to ask. Mutual friends reached out. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly checking in. I knew the pattern. The rumors were spreading. Ethan cut them off. "They're losing the house. Liam says it's all Ethan's fault. Let them spin their story. They'd said I wasn't family. I just took them at their word." Then something unexpected happened. A week after the default notice, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another, and another. Curiosity got the better of me. It was my Uncle James, Dad's older brother. He'd always been distant, living out of state, showing up only for major events. His voice was steady, almost too calm. "Hey, Ethan, it's James. I heard what went down. Just wanted to say you did the right thing. Your dad pulled the same stunt with our mom. Drained her dry. You stopped the cycle. Proud of you." That voicemail hit me hard in the best way. It was the first time someone saw what I'd done without judgment, without trying to pull me back into the mess. The guilt I'd been carrying dissolved. Maybe this wasn't just about one harsh text or a single holiday. Maybe it was about decades of manipulation dressed up as family ties. Maybe walking away wasn't betrayal. It was recovery. I sat with that, watching the waves, wondering what was next. Then came a knock at my door. I opened it, and there was Liam, exhausted, tie loose, eyes blazing with desperation and barely contained anger. "Dude," he said, voice rough, "you need to come home. You need to fix this." I stood there calm, letting the moment linger. For once, I wasn't the one who needed anything. I was about to speak when he said something that stopped me cold. "Dad says if you don't pay by Monday, we lose the house." I met his gaze, and then I closed the door. Not a slam, not a word, just a quiet, deliberate click. He didn't knock again. I leaned against the door, waiting for the guilt or panic to surge. It didn't. My hands were steady, my thoughts were clear. I could hear the ocean through the open window, waves rolling in like a steady rhythm for my heartbeat. The air felt lighter. A few seconds later, Liam's voice came through, muffled. "Are you kidding me right now?" I stayed silent. I sat on the bed, silenced my phone, and listened as he paced outside. Then I heard the door next to mine open. Probably him renting a room. Typical Liam. No plan, just showing up expecting me to cave. He probably pictured a big confrontation, tears, apologies, me agreeing to fix everything. Instead, I went to dinner. A small seafood joint by the water. Ordered shrimp, sat by the window, read a book I hadn't touched in ages. My phone buzzed once, Liam again, and I ignored it. For the first time in years, I didn't owe anyone my time. Back at the inn, it was quiet. No Liam waiting, no note slipped under the door. Just peace. I thought he'd left. But the next morning, there he was on the porch, arms crossed, foot tapping like a scolded kid. "Ethan," he started before I even stepped out. "You've made your point. You wanted us to feel what it's like without you. We get it. But this is too much. Mom's not sleeping. Dad's a wreck. They're gonna lose the house." I leaned against the doorframe. "It's not their house. It's the bank's. They can talk to them. You know what I mean." I waited. He threw his hands up. "Fine, Dad was wrong. The text was awful, but it was just words. You're gonna let one message ruin everything?" I tilted my head. "That's the thing, Liam. It wasn't just a message. It was the final tally. Years of being used, overlooked, dismissed, and then that was the end." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. And maybe he didn't. For the first time, I was standing in my own space, not the one they'd carved out for me. He stepped closer. "You don't get it. If they lose the house, I'm screwed too. I live there." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not meanly, just honestly. The kind of laugh that comes when the irony hits. "That's your problem," I said. "You think you live in the house. I've been carrying it, and I'm done." He blinked. "So that's it? You're just walking away?" "No," I said. "I walked away when Dad said I wasn't family. This is me staying gone." He was quiet for a long time. "I can't believe you," he muttered. "You're just like him." That one hurt more than I expected. But I didn't let it show. "I used to worry about that," I said. "I spent years trying to be different. But now I see the real difference." "What's that?" "I take responsibility for my own life." With that, I turned and went back inside. Liam didn't try again that day. I heard his car leave around noon. I half expected him to return, or for Mom to show up, or even Dad to beg. But they didn't. The silence stretched on. 3 days later, a letter arrived. A thin envelope, my name in neat blue ink, no return address. I opened it carefully, expecting blame or manipulation. Instead, it was a single handwritten page. No greeting. "Your mother's health is failing. The stress is taking a toll. She thinks she drove you away. I told her it's not her fault. You're an adult. You made your decision. You've shown us where we stand. I hope you're at peace with it." It was Dad's handwriting. No apology, no accountability, just a veiled jab dressed as concern. But the tone was different. No demands, no expectation I'd rush to fix it. Just a quiet resentment, like someone facing consequences he never anticipated. I folded the letter, tucked it into its envelope, and stored it in a drawer. Not to dwell on, but to remember. The next day, an email from the county registrar confirmed the foreclosure process had advanced. I didn't celebrate when it finalized. No champagne, no smug posts online. I just sat on my couch, staring at the email that marked the end of something I once thought was permanent. It was a quiet grief for something I'd already mourned bit by bit. I didn't cry. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty, but cleansed, like I'd finally washed off years of unasked-for burdens. The house hit the market within a month. I checked the listing out of curiosity. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, charming colonial with great potential. They staged it with generic furniture, but I could still see traces of my old life in the photos. The faded spot on the staircase where Dad leaned, the corner where Mom put the Christmas tree I paid for, the scratched floor from Liam's spilled coffee, which I cleaned up. It sold quickly. A young couple bought it, posting a happy photo with their cat, captioned, "Our first home, new chapter begins." Good. Let it be that for them. I heard fragments of what happened next from a cousin over drinks. My parents moved to a small apartment 2 towns over, near Liam's diner job. The rent was steep, but with no mortgage, they managed, barely. Mom had a brief hospital stay, anxiety, maybe a heart scare, as Dad hinted. She was released soon after. Their insurance wasn't great. I'm sure they blamed me for that too. Liam hopped between jobs, then started delivering for a food app. He never moved out, still on their couch. My cousin said Dad blamed him for the house, saying, "If you'd stepped up, Ethan wouldn't have had to carry us." Liam didn't take it well. The family started cracking, each pointing fingers at the other. I stayed out of it. My phone was silent for months. I'd blocked them, but I think they stopped trying anyway. In their story, I was the cold son who abandoned them, leaving them destitute. Let them believe it. They weren't destitute. They were just accountable. I focused on my life, took a new job with travel, something I'd avoided because I felt tied down, started dating again, free from the constant pressure of obligation, adopted a dog, a quirky mutt named Baxter, who's a better listener than anyone I know. Slowly, I realized something. They were never the family I needed. They raised me, gave me a home, rules, structure, but not support, not warmth, not acceptance. They raised me to fill a role, the fixer, the quiet son, the reliable one. When I stopped, they stopped pretending to care. About 10 months after the foreclosure, I got a typed letter from their lawyer. My name was officially removed from all family assets and legal documents. No surprise, I hadn't spoken to them in nearly a year, but the formality stung. No personal note, just a line. All obligations, financial or otherwise, are now terminated. I smiled, framed it, hung it in my office, not out of malice, but as a reminder, a certificate of independence. Around the 1-year mark, an old family friend messaged me on social media. She used to bring cookies to our holiday parties. She said she missed me and added, "Your dad told me what happened. I don't blame you. No one does. We all saw how much you carried. We just didn't speak up because, well, you know your dad, but we saw you, Ethan. You weren't invisible." I sat with that for a while. I hadn't realized how much I needed it. Years of being the dependable one made me think no one noticed, that I had to keep giving to earn my place. Her words showed me I wasn't wrong, wasn't selfish, just done being used. I thanked her, said I was doing well, better than ever. When the holidays came again, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, I didn't wait for an invite. Didn't check my phone for a message that never came. I booked a ski trip with friends, laughed until my sides ached, took selfies with strangers, drank too much hot chocolate, and I didn't miss a thing. What I finally grasped after 33 years is that blood doesn't entitle anyone to your life. Love isn't just about sacrifice, and real family doesn't turn your kindness into a weapon called duty. They lost the house. I found myself. I don't know if they'll ever understand why I walked away. I don't know if they can, but I don't need them to anymore, because I built something better.